some watches, some fitment watches from China to Canada. And it's pretty much the same as Fitbit, but it's cheaper and pretty much like it's exactly the same, like quality is the same, and it has the same features basically. And I started geographically like here in Toronto, but now I'm just like abroad in also I sent to Vancouver. And initially it was focused on young people who wants to track their like running or swimming or etc. like walking, but right now the market is starting to change. I don't know how, like, what happened, but for more older people because they want to track their pressure, their heart pressure, and rate.
Heart rate.
Yeah, sorry. So it's very interesting, and how the market just changed within like 6 months basically.
And maybe you can also help people in the audience to tell if you are selling to the other businesses or maybe other resellers, or are you selling directly to the consumer? Directly to the consumers, okay. Yeah. And in terms of, you just talk about age. Did you have any other considerations? You talk about like geographic, Vancouver and Toronto. How about let's say family situation? Do you know? I know you may not necessarily track it, but like, what's your evidence?
Well, I started in Toronto because even when I did some agreements with DHL and FedEx, still quite expensive to send it to GTA and other places around. And it's easier to do it here or that ship it directly from China to Vancouver than distribute it from Toronto to the GTA or Ontario or basically Ontario. So that's why like shipping is still pretty expensive. It's not really worth it.
Yeah.
Are you exporting to Mexico as well, or no?
No, I haven't been in this like for so long. Pretty much been like 8 months or so. So I started slow, but yeah, I'm not sure because I need to check the duty from China to Mexico, which I imagine must be much more.
Yes.
Yeah, you are talking about geography and market region, yes. I can say something general. If we are going to do market in some different geography, we should have focus on 3 different things. Culture, structure, and situation of the business that area. This is very important because I have some experience about a different country and just these 3 things.
Sure. Yeah, a very close example to
Culture of business. If you are in Turkey, you come to Toronto.
Absolutely.
You didn't know the culture of business. If
Yeah.
you do some business, you are.
And like speaking of the cultural differences, there are of course important, especially because you are in a situation of negotiation, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, but is it the Middle Eastern style of negotiations more like a conversation? Talk about weather, soccer, sport cars, right? Is that right?
Come sit here 2 hours talking about.
2 hours talking about it, pretty much
and
nothing.
sell the carpet to you.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
in Turkey.
Exactly.
Canada.
Yeah. But it's interesting how it changes, though. I just did some work a year ago, did some work for Saudi Export Development, and had a chance to visit Riyadh for a few days. And I kind of expected the same, but since maybe because I spoke to people of younger generation, it was kind of more of a straight talk, and I was very surprised. Because I prepared myself to talk about some race cars and stuff like that, but I was very surprised to actually just a straight talk. Maybe because quite a lot of young people in those areas are educated in the United States, and they're more used to straight talking as they used to in the United States. I don't know, but things are changing, I believe. That's what I noticed.
New generation, they think globally now.
Yeah, exactly.
Everything's changed. So
Absolutely.
the education is global, and economy is global, and everything. So
Mhm.
perspective is different.
Yeah. By the way, the Global Affairs Canada has a resource. Somebody's interested, let me know. I can send you a link later on. They have, I believe it's called Center for Intercultural Learning, and it's like an online interface where you select the country, and gives you some tips on negotiations, on what's important, and what you should expect from your counterparty. It gives you major information about holidays, religion, and other interesting stuff you may not be aware of.
Interestingly enough, the CIA has a public site that does
Good,
that.
excellent point. Yeah, CIA, Central Intelligence Agency, has the website. I believe it's called the World's Fact Book. Yeah, that's a great also and what's great about this resource is that it's up to date. So if something politically happens in the market, like literally 24 hours, so they update the information. The only problem is that after you visited the website, they start tracking your and they monitor your online activities. So don't do stupid things online. No, that's a joke. I have no idea. But maybe. It may happen. So, yeah. CIA.org. Okay. Any other examples of profiles? Okay. By the way, is there anyone who wants to sell directly online to the consumers? Jewelry, right? That's the online. Yeah, and the shoes too, right? You can sell directly to consumers, actually. Yes?
I would think in my market, especially for my situation, it's probably
Mm-hmm.
because I still have to target to
Right,
consumer.
right, because they will be
Education.
receiving
Exactly.
materials in advertising, right? Well, which country, by the way? Just curious.
Burma.
Burma, okay. Yeah, that's a new market that is relatively, I mean, not a new market, but relatively, the one that is opening up. Excellent. Okay, so let's talk about the next one. Let me check timing. Okay, that's fine. Selection of the ideal product. There are a few considerations. Again, if you have the product idea, that's something that applies to you. If you don't have the product idea yet, then after the next exercise, you will have some product ideas. You probably have some ideas, right? And if you do, you first of all have to check the margin for the product. Does the product have, if you have two products, which of them has higher margin? Trading internationally and marketing internationally is more expensive. Also, you may be facing negotiations, and you may be facing the situation where you have to do this discount for your potential foreign buyers, or you may be subject to the duty, for example. So you better to select the product that has higher margin, just because it will be much easier for you to negotiate. And if you have to give up 100% of your profit margin, it's not going to be critical for your business. So the better margin you have, the more margin you have, the better. And other consideration is the adaptability. And we're not talking, not only we're talking about the adaptation of the product to meet the requirements of the foreign market. For example, the certification, standards that may be applicable to your product, but also the adaptation to the consumer taste. the packaging that they are used to, even things like metric system. You know, selling in Canada, we usually use metric system. Like kilograms, grams, and whatnot. In the United States, we use imperial system. Actually, they use imperial system. So if you're selling to the United States, you may want to consider that. And that's the product adaptation. So if your product is absolutely not not customizable, then it's better to pick another product. And yeah, customization, of course, is about packaging as well. So the consumers in certain markets may be accustomed to either larger packaging or smaller packaging. The classic example is the perfumes. It really varies from country to country. In some countries, they prefer like small, how do you say that, dispensers, if you will. In others, they prefer large ones. Okay. Can anyone give examples of their product in relation to adaptability? Yes?
For example, the boots, shoes,
Mhm.
have two sizes.
Mhm.
Like in Mexico, is for example, like 29, and here will be like, like 7.5.
That's an excellent example. Yeah, that's an excellent example. Something that you have to consider. Absolutely. Can you engrave my name?
Sorry?
Can you custom engrave my name to the shoe?
Yeah.
Sure. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Think creatively. Think creatively. If you can technically customize the product, yeah, then of course it will be more expensive with my name on it. Not that because I'm a famous guy, but because you have to incur additional cost to engrave it. But if something like that is possible, for sure.
There was another technical thing that if you're trying to get into any of the bigger chains or that, you have to register the SKU number.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
you don't get a bar graph for
Oh yeah, fair enough.
they will not touch it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it doesn't matter what you want to do,
Mm-hmm.
if you don't have that government sounding association, which is actually a private company, are real money grabbing people. But
It's a cost of doing business.
it's cost of doing business, but like if you have a product and you don't have it registered
Mhm.
with a SKU,
Right.
like Gordon Foods won't take anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. And you also have to, have the place in your packaging for it, right? To put this code. Okay. Now another consideration is the unique needs or benefits. If you have several products to choose from, then you have to pick whatever is easier to market and sell, and that's the product that has clear that addresses the clear need. Let's take an example here. So we discussed. Let's take flavors. Can you describe more what kind of flavors are there?
Like there are artificial flavors
Mhm.
sometimes, like for example, the barbecue chips. So
Mhm.
that barbecue flavor is
Mhm.
what the company.
Okay. Yeah, so then the example of unique need that, correct me if I'm wrong, but as far as I understand, the unique need that this product addresses is having barbecue taste without actually barbecuing something, correct?
Yeah.
So-
Sometimes there are natural products, right? Like for
Mhm.
example, guacamole
Mhm.
flavor or
Mhm.
things like that. And I think that's the value
Mhm.
proposition that some tropical flavors are
Mhm.
easier to find in Mexico
Right.
than here.
Of course. Yeah. Mhm.
So that's
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, but just to elaborate specifically to this example, let's say if you have several flavors to choose from, then maybe we can focus on like the very unique ones the tropical taste that is completely unavailable in Canada, but is in demand. Like it has the specific niche.
Right.
Yeah, I'm just like elaborating because maybe it's not that accurate, but I just want to illustrate the way how you should think about the product.
Yeah, no, that's
Mhm.
right. I mean,
Mhm.
like, yeah, tropical flavors for, I don't know, alcoholic beverages, for example.
Yeah, good stuff.
Which is-
Craft beer, for example. Yeah, there's lots of craft beer now. It's a rise. By the way, it's a rising industry. So if you have something for craft brewers, it's a good market.
However, I think for alcohol,
Mhm.
there's like another type of regulation, right? Because not everybody can.
I wouldn't necessarily say that. I don't really have the answer right away. But you are not producing alcohol beverage, so supplying to the distillers, I believe, for beer makers, I don't think it's regulated. But you can check that, and I can give you some ideas where to check that. Even though I don't, I don't think there's any. Okay, so and the last item to consider is the degree to which the operations are established. You don't want any surprises with your product, especially when you are selling it internationally or when you're buying it from the other side of the ocean. You want to make sure that the product will arrive in the good condition, and also if you produce the product, for example, that you will be able to produce it on time, because imagine what happens if the truck arrives to pick up your goods and you're not ready. Then the truck goes away, the next truck comes in 3 days, but you miss your ship. You have to wait another week for another ship, and it goes on and on and on, and it's not good. So you don't want any surprises. That's why it's better to select. If you have a choice, better to select the product that has the established operations. All right. Any questions?
Sorry, I got
Yes.
a question. A part of the information services, how can I select the right product or a product if I don't know if the product is legally or no? For example, if I'm gonna buy a car from China, but there are some rules in China to export the car, and there are some rules here in Canada to import the car.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there,
That's why you don't see them.
yeah, not everybody can import a car or an iPhone, for example. There are some restrictions for some products
Correct.
from different countries.
Yeah, I'll give you just a rule of thumb. The rule of thumb is that if the product may cause potential danger to the life and health of the consumer, then this product is regulated. So that's the rule of thumb. That's why most of the food products are regulated. That's why the chemicals and cosmetics are regulated, and that's why all electrical products and all the products with moving parts, such as car, they are regulated. So yeah, you're correct. Yeah. Depending on the product, there are different regulating bodies. For cars, it's what used to be Industry Canada. They changed the name recently, but it used to be Industry Canada. I mean, it's probably not the best example because you can just import the car on your own. There's whole lots of different regulations and IP protection and market protection. So, but most of the food products are regulated by Canada Food Inspection Agency. What else? Cosmetics, Health Canada. Pharmaceuticals, medical supplies, medical devices, all Health Canada. Consumer goods, not to that degree. Textile products, pretty much deregulated. There are some, not really restrictions, but kind of certification or registration requirements for kids' clothing. But if you are selling adult clothing, there's no restriction. Yes?
Yes, it is always a restriction because they say when
Right.
And we several times we made a test on the
Mhm.
jewelry to make sure our jewelry has the same quality. We don't have no nickel.
Yeah. Did you run through that example? That's a good one.
That's why, for example, in my company, we have been importing jewelry in Estados Unidos, Mexico, and Guatemala, and we make the adaptation
Mhm.
of the jewelry according to the Canadian standards.
Fantastic. That's a great example. Yeah. It's good that you've done your homework and completed it with us. Excellent.
So is there any resource or regulatory bodies that we can basically make an inquiry for each product that before we want to basically work for Canada? If there are any specific
Importing. Okay. Yeah. Yes and no. Okay. Unfortunately, there's no government source per se, but there is kind of government-funded resource called Canada Business, I believe .ca. This is where you can start looking for those regulations. They will be both, export and import. The sections for both export and import. For other countries, if you, for example, export Canadian products to other markets, I wouldn't really quote any specific resource other than probably Trade Commissioner. 'Cause, yeah.
I checked the webpage of Canada Customs, and sometimes they will tell you, depending what kind of product you want to have.
Yeah.
They will tell you a couple of things of who
Right.
contacts you want to
Yeah,
get.
exactly. That's for importing. Yeah, for Canada, if you're importing to Canada, it's a little bit easier because there's no shortage of the information, fortunately. Yeah, but if you're exporting to other markets, this may be a little bit more challenging.
Is there not like a chamber of commerce or something like that?
Oh, there are lots of things. Yeah, we're going to talk about that in the next section in greater detail. But yeah, definitely, this is a good. These chambers are good sources of contacts and sources of information. And the beauty of those chambers, just for the sake of everyone, the kind of chambers that we talk about are those bilateral chambers, like, for example, Canada-Mexico Chamber of Commerce, or let's say